Liverpool, as usual, they set up in a 4-2-4 while pressing. If we have Aston Villa here, Emi Martinez, you got Pau Torres over here, Carlos shifting out wide. We got Lucas Dean here, Tielemans, Onana, and we got Konsa over here, dropping deep. Bailey about over here. Ramsey, Rogers, and Watkins over here. Okay, so now how did Liverpool press? Well, what they did was we had Darwin Nunez who triggered the press, and then we had Luis Diaz pressing Konsa. McAllister was the guy who was pressing Onana over here, and Curtis Jones pressing Tielemans, and obviously Salah was in between over here. And if Liverpool triggered the gegenpress press, he could press Tielemans or he could press Lucas Dean. And so over here we had Alexander-Arnold, who would come all the way over here to press Ramsey, and Gravenberch would press Bailey. So and then Robertson would also be in the lurch, so he could press this guy or this guy. Van Dijk would press Rogers, and Konate would press Ollie Watkins. Emi Martinez would pass the ball over here to Carlos, and that's how they would try to bait Liverpool to press. And Nunez would step out. There's an M2M arrangement in the center of the field, man to man, and if you look at the channel, it's 5v4 down the line, and Robertson, he's the free man off the ball. So how would Aston Villa get out of the Liverpool high press? Well, if we look at Emi Martinez over here, Konsa all the way here, Rogers, Onana, Carlos, Pau Torres, Tielemans, Dean, Watkins, Ramsey, Bailey. So if we look at the Liverpool players, we got Salah about here, Darwin Nunez here, McAllister over here, Gravenberch, Luis Diaz, and Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, Alexander-Arnold. So what happens is that Curtis Jones goes all the way over here to press Emi Martinez. And what Emi Martinez would do is he'd pass the ball all the way over here to Konsa, and Konsa would cross the ball all the way over here, and Tielemans is the guy who's supposed to run into space, get the ball, and then push for that quick transition. And that's how Aston Villa got out of the Liverpool press, and they had a whole bunch of counter-attacking transition situations. So what we can see over here is the Villa fullbacks, they're hugging the touchline, and the reason for that is to stretch that high block of Liverpool. And Onana and Rogers, they come ball side, and you got two Liverpool center midfielders towards the channel, and then Tielemans is basically the third man, and he makes those third man runs, and that's how Aston Villa, through Tielemans' third man run towards the center, that's how they open up all this space over here. And then these guys can make the run, and these guys as well. And so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys versus 4, and then Tielemans the 5th guy. So there's a transition situation over here, and that's why the game had to be really fast. So what Liverpool did was they responded with overloads, and so let's see how this worked. Again, Emi Martinez over here, Carlos here, Pau Torres coming inside, Dean coming back all the way from here. We got Tielemans here, we got Onana, we got Konsa, Rogers, Bailey, Ollie Watkins, Ramsey. Now over here, what Mohamed Salah is doing is he's the guy, instead of staying over here, he's the guy coming inside. We got Curtis Jones on Tielemans, and we got McAllister on Onana, and Darwin Nunez is the guy who's trying to press Carlos, and we got Luis Diaz on Konsa. So what happens is that Konsa passes the ball back to Carlos. Carlos tries to make that pass to Onana, and Onana is the guy who's gonna make that long ball here. So what happens is that Robertson is the guy who's gonna jump in here and try to intercept that pass to Bailey, over here, or Watkins. So one of these guys who's going to get the pass, it's Robertson who's going to come in, and obviously you got Van Dijk and Konate and Trent Alexander to cover these spaces over here. So basically what Liverpool is doing is they're trying to intercept. And so what we see here is McAllister and Jones, they're now pressing the Villa double pivot, and Salah, he's leaving the right wing spot. He's trying to intercept that pass from CB to CB. So he's making that room here, he's going for that interception. So for this switch to happen and this huge overload here, it becomes very difficult for Aston Villa to not make a mistake, and that's an attempt at the channel pass, and Robertson is the free guy for the turnover. So against the mid block, Villa was able to create 2v1 situations down the left channel. If we look at Carlos, Pau Torres, Konsa, Onana, Tielemans, Dean, we got Ramsey here, dropping deep. We got Rogers, and we got Watkins, and we got Bailey. Now, this is a sort of a mid block instead of a low block here, and so we got Curtis Jones over here. We got Darwin Nunez. We got Mohamed Salah. Just trying to intercept this lane over here. Trent Alexander had gone off at the time, and so we have Bradley over here, we have McAllister over here, we got Gravenberch here as well, trying to press Rogers, and then we got Konate, Van Dijk, and Robertson. So what's going on here is that what Villa is going to try to do is that Diego Carlos, he's going to try to bait somebody over here, and Pau Torres is going to get the ball, and he's going to try to make that pass over here, and so he's got two passing options over here. So if one guy's here, then you got Ramsey over here, and what Ramsey's got to do is, because if this guy presses him or this guy presses him, he's supposed to make that quick pass over here. So this is that left hand channel which Villa is trying to exploit. So basically the CB is moving positions, and they had Jones trying to step up and Nunez trying to cover Tielemans. Ramsey drops the ball, Bradley in the dilemma with Dean making the run from the LB. So Bradley has to drop. Eventually Ramsey receives the ball, and this is where they're trying to target this spot over here. When Carlos was attempting to make passes directly to Ramsey over here, spaces were much more compact and it was much more difficult. Again, if we look at Konsa over here, Carlos over here, Pau Torres, Dean, Tielemans, Onana, Rogers, Ramsey dropping deep to get that pass. You got Watkins over here, you got Bailey over here. Liverpool, we got Nunez, we got Curtis Jones, we got Mohamed Salah over here, Gravenberch, Robertson, Van Dijk, and Konate. And so once Carlos gets the ball, it's Ramsey dropping deep, and so we're trying to make that direct pass over here. And so what's happening is that, Bradley's the guy who's got to come in here because Konate and Van Dijk, they're on Watkins so that he doesn't make that run. And obviously Rogers and Bailey over here, so we got to keep a watch out for these guys over here. So then obviously, this whole situation, it becomes much more compact. So basically Jones, he's covering Tielemans, less chance of run out of double pivot, less Villa players in proximity of Ramsey. Bradley can step up with more security, less space for Ramsey to turn into, and because there's a lot of congestion over here, and that's why it became a bit more difficult. If you look at the whole thing, there were deep build-ups, but not a lot of connections from Villa. It didn't look like the normal Villa team, mostly playing on transitions, mostly low block, and this was because Liverpool's narrow block stops all central progression, and that's where they beat Villa. And there was a noticeable lack of switches as well. Long balls from Villa, 10 completed out of 25, and there was only one attempted switch. So the wingers basically were involved in the deep build-up. And because of that, there was a lack of involvement in the attack, and that's how Liverpool's 4-2-4, a very compact one, dominated the game for Liverpool.